Here's how to manage every single paycheck by age. Now, before we get started, I know I'm going to get this question. So when I say, here's how to manage every single paycheck, what I mean is net, your actual paycheck that you get every single time you get paid. So what we're gonna talk about today is how to manage that paycheck every time you get paid. And the first thing you wanna do is cash it and make it rain. Okay, I'm just kidding. The first thing you wanna do is we're gonna go age by age, and you wanna understand exactly where every single dollar is going. So I'm gonna go through the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s in this video so that we can go about and make sure that you're managing your check properly through each decade, because you wanna adjust it a little bit as time goes on. So if you're in your 20s, here's how to manage every single paycheck. The first thing you wanna do is you wanna make sure that you're saving and investing your money. This is always comes first. Now, if you're saying to yourself, if I do this before my bills, I'm gonna be absolutely broke. So there's two things you need to be doing if that's the case for you. The first thing you need to be doing is you need to be increasing your income. Increasing your income will solve the majority of your money problems as long as you have decent spending habits. So increasing your income over time is going to be incredibly powerful. And the second thing you want to do is look at reducing some of your expenses. And what you're doing is you're creating a gap between your income and your expenses. Now, let's have a little chat here. You can only reduce so much of your expenses, but you can increase your income infinitely. So which one do you think you should really focus on the most? Don't worry about cutting back on Starbucks. If you like to go get Starbucks, go ahead and throw one back. But what you need to be doing is increasing your income over time so you can spend more money on things that you value, which we're going to talk about here in a second. So 15% at minimum needs to be going to savings, meaning your emergency fund, and your investments. Now, if you can increase that number over time, I would absolutely do it, because in your 20s, your money is so incredibly powerful because you have the greatest asset of all, which is time. And if you have time in your favor, you can build an amazing amount of wealth. The next one is housing. So you want to spend 30% or less of your net income on housing. If you spend more than this on your housing, you are absolutely going to be house poor unless you adjust some of these things. Now, big city people, city slickers, let me tell you something. A lot of you are going to gripe about this 30% number, but let me explain. Unless you're in Los Angeles, which means you're just losing money left and right, you don't spend as much money on transportation. So if you're in New York or Boston, you can take something like city transit or the subway, something along those lines. So your transportation cost is going to go down, which we're going to talk about here in a second. So you want to spend 30% or less on your housing costs unless you adjust one of these numbers that is not your saving and investing rate, because your housing cost needs to be at least that 30%. And that 30% number is decently high. I know cost of housing is rising, but you need to keep it below that 30% number if you want to build that generational wealth. And then one more thing to note on the housing cost. This includes your utilities, all that type of stuff as well. Your electricity, utilities, water, all those different things. Anything associated with the cost of housing, your mortgage, your rent, all of those pieces. The next one is transportation. You want to spend 15 to 20% on transportation. This is your gas, this is your insurance, this is your car loan. All of those different things needs to be minimal when it comes to transportation. Now, one thing to talk about, we're gonna have a video coming up here soon, so make sure you're subscribed. See what I did there? Make sure you subscribe to this channel so that you can make sure that you can see this video. We're talking about how much money you should actually spend on a car and how to wisely spend money on a car. Because what's happening here is you need to reduce that transportation cost because it's a depreciating asset when you spend money on transportation. You do not want to be spending a lot of money on transportation. Trust me, it does not help you with your wealth building ability. And the more money you spend on transportation, the more time you're going to have to work to pay for that transportation, because it does not help you build wealth. The next one is 20% on food. This is eating out. This is your groceries, all those different things. You want to spend 20% or less on food. And if you can keep it in that controlled environment, then that will allow you to be able to build wealth. Now, if you want to spend more money on food, if you're a big foodie, then just reduce one of these other costs so that you can do that. You can make adjustments. That's why personal finance is a personal thing, but making sure you make those adjustments, as long as you're not adjusting that savings and investment rate, is going to be something that you can definitely do. And the last one is the treat yourself fund. So everybody's going to have a treat yourself fund in every single decade, and this one is 15%. I want to make sure that you are spending money on things that you value, spending money on things that you enjoy, and like I said, in any of these other categories, you can reduce those and spend more money if you'd like to. Money is there to bring you value. Money is there to help you bring joy, reduce your stress and anxiety, so I want to make sure that you have that available to you as well. So spending money on yourself is absolutely imperative. You need to treat yourself. Yeah, the finance guy is telling you to treat yourself. Go get yourself a massage. Go play a little golf. Go do whatever you like to do, but spend some money on yourself so that you can actually enjoy your money and enjoy this process. Now let's jump in to the 30s. Welcome to the 30s. We are in the messy middle. This is a point in time where a lot of people start having kids. Maybe you're getting married. A lot of different things are happening. Your career is accelerating. You're making more money. That's usually what happens in your 30s. In your 30s, it's imperative that you are managing your paychecks properly. Reason being is, once you start managing this money, it's really the catapult to building wealth, and it's the middle ground to make sure that you're on track to either retiring early or hitting retirement on time. So the first thing is you want to increase that savings rate to 20 to 25% because you need to grow your savings rate and investment rate over time so that you can get those dollars to start working for you, and compound interest is building wealth for you over time. Because if you're saving a measly 10% of your income, you'll be working for 51 years. So you want to make sure that you are saving more money over time. Increasing it by 1 to 2% a year is incredibly powerful and something that I definitely recommend that you look into. The second thing is housing. So housing still needs to stay below that 30% range. And as you start to pay off your loans, and if you start to pay down some things, then maybe that number can be reduced as well. But a lot of people start to move into bigger houses as their income increases, and that's completely fine, but you just want to make sure that that housing cost is below that 30% range. The next one is transportation. So transportation, you want to keep at that 15% range. Do not start to buy fancy schmancy cars that are way out of your price range. A lot of people do that in their 30s and their 40s, and they have a midlife crisis or whatever else they do, and they say, hey, I'm making some more money. I can afford this car. Maybe I'm going to get that Corvette, or maybe I'm going to get that Escalade that I just saw in my favorite music video, and I'm going to ghost ride the whip down the street. You don't want to be doing that because it's going to eat into your wealth building ability. Cars are a depreciating asset. When you drive a car off the lot, loses 30% of its value within the first 3 years. It's not something you want to be spending a lot of money on. If you like nice cars, if that's your thing, more power to you. Use some of that treat yourself fund. Use some of that other money as well. If cars are your thing, you can absolutely do that. There's nothing wrong with fancy schmancy cars, but you want to make sure that you are also investing and building wealth as well as you do that. The next one is food. And food, you still want to be spending between that 15 to 20% range. As your income increases, you want to keep it within that range. You may have other priorities like kids or your parents move in with you or whatever else is happening. A lot of different things could be happening, but you still want to keep it within that range so that you make sure that you're building wealth. And then finally, treat yourself is at that 15% range, and you can increase that number over time. If you start making more money and you want to treat yourself, go on more vacations or do whatever else you want to do, make it rain at the club, then you can go ahead and do that. You can do any of those things that you want to do because the Treat Yourself Fund is no guilt. Don't worry about it. That's the money you get to spend on you because you deserve it. All right, the next one is the 40s. The first thing you want to do in your 40s is make sure you're not having a midlife crisis and you're buying that Lamborghini with your entire savings account. You want to make sure you're not... First thing you want to do in your 40s is make sure you don't make any mistakes. You don't want to be buying Lamborghinis and having a midlife crisis. You don't want to be buying risky assets. You are approaching retirement age, and some people start to retire in their 40s. So you want to make sure you're doing the right things. So savings and investment. Savings and investment in your 40s, if you're still working and you want to retire, needs to be 25% or above no matter what. This is no exceptions. You've had 20 years to figure this thing out. If you can't do that, you need to increase your income and reduce your expenses. But you need to focus on increasing your income by either having side hustles or doing it at your day job by negotiating your salary. We have a free salary negotiation ebook that teaches you exactly how to do this. I have it linked up down below so you can check that out as well. But you need to have 25% or more of your income being invested. Specifically, you want to make sure it's invested or adding some cash on hand as well. The next one is housing. You want to start reducing your housing costs, get your mortgage paid off, all those things as you approach retirement age. So reducing this number from the 30% or less is going to be incredibly powerful. If you want to retire in 10 years or less, you need to make that number 20% or less if you're just getting started. For transportation, you want to reduce this cost and be driving cars as long as you possibly can. Now, if you're making a lot more money, obviously that 15% range is still the perfect range to be in. If you like fancy cars, or you like to have new cars every couple of years, nothing wrong with that, like I said, but it's a depreciating asset. It does not help you build wealth. You need to know that, and you need to keep it within that 15% range for your car insurance, your gas, all those other things as well. So if you want to buy a fancier car, you need to increase your income and focus your time on doing that. Then we have food. So food is 15 or 20%, keeping it in that range as well, making sure you are utilizing those funds for things that you value. Lastly, the Treat Yourself Fund is 10 to 15% in that range again, and making sure that you have fun in life, because as you approach retirement age, you want to make sure you have a lot of extra dollars so that you can treat yourself as well with that freedom, that time. And you want to make sure you're enjoying yourself now in your 40s as well. You want to make sure you travel while you still can, hike up those mountains, dive off those cliffs, do all those fun things as well, and making sure you have those funds available and you actually budget it out so that you can go do all those fun things. And now listen, this is a guideline for you guys. So personal finance is extremely personal. So with any of these decades or with any of these ages, you can adjust these numbers to make it work. But the one thing that you cannot adjust is your savings and investment over time. Let me tell you, you absolutely need to make sure that you are investing your dollars every single month and you are consistent with your investments so that you can create freedom for your life. Now, what to invest in? You can invest in index funds and ETFs. You can invest in dividend stocks. You can invest in real estate. All of these are incredibly powerful and they're going to create freedom for your life. But there's a number of things that you need to be doing so that you can save in your emergency fund, protect yourself, and invest those dollars so that over time you can become free. You can become as free as you possibly want. It all depends on your savings rate and how much money you can earn so that you can save more dollars. You can become financially free 5, 10, 15 years if you want to. It's all up to you. But you have to start working on increasing that income and increasing that savings rate. Listen, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Say what's up to all your friends down in the comments as well. Start a big chat down there. High five each other, give each other a fist bump, create secret handshakes. I don't know what you can do down there, but if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. I will answer them. And also, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this with a friend. If you know somebody who is trying to figure out their budget, learning how to budget, and learning how to manage their money, this is a great video for them to learn how to do that. So share it with your friends, your family, everybody else as well. And thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we will see you on the next video.